Hello guys, my name is Madhur and welcome to my channel. This is the second tutorial in the series of tutorials on Unix shell programming. Now when we learn a new language, what we do is we first learn the alphabets, then we learn to use the alphabets to form words, and then we learn to use those words into sentences. Now we're going to follow a similar approach in this series. At first we'll discuss commands, and then I'll show you how to use those commands and build programs. Now some of you might be wondering what is so special about shell programming and why do we have to use it? Now there are a lot of advantages that shell programming offers over other programming languages, and some of them are that it's really very convenient and easy to build programs using shell scripting, and it's even more convenient to debug them. And also there are thousands and thousands of built-in programs that you can use, and that makes your work easier. And if there is a complicated task that you have to perform, then you can do it in very little time using shell programming. And there are a lot of other advantages that it offers, and some of those advantages you'll figure out on your own as we progress in this course. For the time being, just hold my word, you're not wasting your time here. Now what is a shell? A shell is basically an interface between us and the Unix kernel. What the job of the shell is, if we have to get some tasks done, for example, if we have to get a document printed, then we issue a command to the shell, and the shell interprets that command and translates it into something that the kernel can understand. The Unix kernel is basically a program that manages the system's resources or the hardware. So what the kernel's job in this case would be, it would take the instruction from the shell and it would further translate it into a language that the printer can understand, and thus it would get our job done. So if we have to get something done, we instruct the shell to instruct the kernel to actually execute whatever we wish to do. Now how do we access the shell? The shell is accessed through an application known as the terminal. In Ubuntu, you can find terminal in the applications category in the taskbar at the top. Now it's right here in the accessories section. Now what I have done is I have created an icon on my taskbar. Now this is because I use a terminal a lot, and it doesn't make any sense if you don't have an icon either on the desktop or on the taskbar, and if you have to go to applications and then search for terminal each time you have to access it. So what you can do is you can either create an icon on the taskbar, or you can simply drag and drop the terminal on the desktop. Now what happens when you open the terminal? Let me just do that for you. I'll maximize it. Now I see some text being displayed on my screen. This is something that we'll understand later. For the timing, I'll just clear the screen for you. I see this statement being displayed. I'll just take a minute and talk about this. Madhur here is my username, right? And Ubuntu is the name of my machine. Now this is something that you input when you're installing the operating system. At one of the stages, the installer asks you to provide a name to your machine, and if you call it Ubuntu, then this is what this is something that comes from there. And immediately after Ubuntu, I see a dollar symbol. Now this dollar symbol represents my shell. This is basically the symbol of my shell, and the cursor that's blinking after it is basically the place where I can type in commands, and if I press enter, then my command gets executed. Now one important thing that you all have to keep in mind is that all Unix commands are input in lowercase alphabets. If you type in a command in uppercase letters, then it simply won't execute. I can demonstrate it for you guys. For example, let me just first type in some commands that do not really exist. Now these are commands not found, so I have just created some garbage on my screen. Now in order to clear this, I have to use the command clear, which is CLEAR. Now I have pressed the caps lock key on, and if I press enter, it tells me that clear is a command not found. Now I'll switch caps lock off and I'll type in clear and press enter, and you see that my terminal has been cleared. So this is something very important, and you must remember it. You have to input all Unix commands in lowercase letters. Now in this tutorial we're going to discuss a couple of commands. What if I want to know the time at which I logged in. The command for that is who am I. I'll simply type in who space am and space I and press enter at the terminal, and I would see this thread. The first column displays my username, the second column displays my terminal ID, and the third column displays the time and date when I logged in. So this is the first command, who am I. You can make a note of it. The second command that we're going to check out is pwd. pwd stands for present working directory, and it basically tells you the directory in which the shell is currently in. Now I'll elaborate on that in the future tutorials, but for the time being, just know that the shell uses a particular directory to do stuff. For example, if I would execute mkdir or the create directory command here, then my directory would be created in my present working directory, unless of course I specify a different path. So that is it. When I type in pwd and press enter, I see that my home folder is currently my present directory. Now the home folder can be found in the file system if you click on places, and then if you click on home folder. This is basically my home folder, and you can see the contents of the home folder here. Now I can view the contents of my home folder through the terminal using the ls command, but we're not going to discuss ls in this tutorial since we're running out of time. That I'll be doing in one of the coming tutorials. So thank you so much for watching this one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next tutorial.